Hi everyone, I'm back looking at Unit 2 practice multiple choice questions for your midterm exam. If you watched the Unit 1 video, you'll know that this strategy that I call the multiple must strategy can be a little bit bulky or cumbersome. You definitely cannot get through your whole midterm doing this strategy for every question because I went through 2 questions with you and in the last video and it took me about 9 minutes. But I promise if you practice this strategy with questions that you feel tripped up on, like you kind of know something about, and you go through some of the steps, that you will become a better overall multiple choice test taker. So let's get started looking at Unit 2. Unit 2 starts with the Enlightenment and all of these ideas that people begin presenting which question traditional government structures. So aside from Thomas Hobbes, who is not, we talk about him as an Enlightenment thinker, but he doesn't embrace these Enlightenment ideals. We do have other philosophers we need to know. And one of those philosophers that we see right in this first question is John Locke. So I'm going to go ahead and make these answer choices blank and go through just the question stem with you. So which statement represents a key idea directly associated with John Locke's 2 treatises of government? All right, so really this question is asking you, what's an idea of John Locke? So when you think about it that way, it's a lot easier to answer this question. So John Locke is someone who's on your study guides. You definitely should be able to associate some ideas with him. Some of his biggest ideas are the concepts of things like life, liberty, and property. He questions absolute monarchies. He thinks that people have a right to have a say in their own government. So any of those ideas we're going to look for in the answer choices. So I'm going to uncover these answer choices right now and take a look at what we can eliminate. All right, so we actually got lucky here because the phrase that I brought up with you that you should associate with John Locke is actually in one of the answer choices. So let's go through and do a process of elimination to get us to the correct answer. So let's take a look at A. John Locke, did he say that freedom of speech should be denied? Absolutely not. John Locke actually would support the ideas that people should have free speech, be able to question their government. So he would not say that freedom of speech should be denied. Let's take a look at B. The king's power on earth comes from God. John Locke absolutely would not believe that. He would say that the king's or the monarch's power should be limited. So he would reject the idea of absolute monarchy, of divine right of kings. All right, C, individuals acting in their own self-interest. So when people only care about themselves, they will achieve economic success. That's not really Locke. If anything, you might associate something like that with Adam Smith. So we're left with just D. All people are born with the right to life, liberty, and property. Totally 100% something that John Locke believed. He influences the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So John Locke does believe that people have the right to make a living, to have freedoms, and to own property. So you do need to know his key ideas for your midterm. Next, in scrolling down, let's take a look because Unit 2 also focuses on the Atlantic revolutions, which are all of those revolutions like American, French, Latin American, Haitian, etc. Right? So these are actually the revolutions that I got to talk about with you a little bit before I went out on maternity leave. So when we call these the Atlantic revolutions, we are looking at all of these revolutions combined. Which of these ideas significantly influenced all of these revolutions? So let's go ahead and take a look at the answer choices. So when we think about what influenced the Atlantic revolutions, there's a lot of stuff in common. People are angry about taxes. People are angry that they don't have a say in their government. They feel like their government is not representing them. People feel as though they are being exploited by their governments, that their basic human rights are being deprived. So we're going to look for answer choices that deal with that. All right, let's go ahead and break down the answer choices again by going through process of elimination. If you're following this strategy, you would have covered up these answer choices so that you could kind of brainstorm what you think could be the best answer. We know that these revolutions are influenced by the Enlightenment and all of the Enlightenment ideals that are put out by people like John Locke and Montesquieu and Rousseau. So we're going to kind of look for those in our answer choices. All right, let's bring back the answer choices. All right, so let's start from the bottom and go up eliminating the answers. So D, the concept of universal suffrage to encourage more involvement by citizens in politics. This would mean that suffrage, which is the right to vote, that people had these revolutions, they carried out these revolutions because they wanted the right to vote. The right to vote was something like that, but not everything. If you think about the Haitian Revolution, people are not fighting for the right to vote. People are fighting for the ability to be seen as people and citizens and not slaves. They're fighting for their freedom. If we think about the Latin American revolutions, people are fighting because they believe they are being exploited by Spain. So it's not just about suffrage. It's not just about voting. It's about a lot of other things. C, the idea that inhuman punishments by the government should be abolished. During the French Revolution, you see a lot of beheading by something like the guillotine, right? So kind of ties in with France, but again, it's larger than that. The American Revolution, Americans want a say, no taxation without representation, right? We talk about Haiti, people aren't advocating just for inhumane punishments to be over. They're advocating for the right to be seen as people. So we're going to cross this out. For what that's worth, it also goes back to this idea of Caesar Beccaria, who was an Enlightenment thinker. All right, we're left with A and B. A, the belief that people should give up their individual rights for safety, or B, the existence of a social contract between citizens and their government. This is kind of there to trick you, answer A. Yeah, people are going to give up their rights for safety, quote unquote, but it's really more than that. It's not just about safety. It's about things like representation, like being seen as human beings, like having the right to make their own decisions, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. So A, we would cross this out because the best answer is B. When we talk about the concept of a social contract, this is the idea that people agree to give up some of their rights, some of the stuff that they want to do, because their government is going to protect them and provide some things for them. If we think about the social contract today, it goes back to the fact that Americans say, okay, yeah, I'm going to agree that it's right for me to give up some of the things I want to do for the greater good. So if I'm in traffic and I just want to cut down the middle of the street and go through a traffic light because I'm angry and I want to get where I'm going, I don't do that because I know it can cause harm and I've agreed to follow traffic laws that are set by the government. So the best answer for this question would be B, about the concept of a social contract between citizens and their government. We agree to allow the government to control us. We give them our consent so that the government should be doing things to help us, which is a big change from, the monarchies of this time who just basically did whatever they want to the people. All right. If you have any questions about the information that I presented or the strategy, please reach out to me. I'll be on email, or ask Mr. Schmidt. I'm sure he'll be more than willing to help you kind of break down this information. I'm going to be doing one more video going over some of the questions that were actually in the packet that I left for you, and then also going over the writing section. So technically 2 more videos. If you have any questions about the information that you're seeing, please let me know. I hope you're reviewing for your midterms and don't feel too stressed.